Good morning, everybody. So this is actually going to be part one of two for an adventure that we had quite a while ago. So back in May of 2021, Hannah and I went to Discovery Cove and brought the camera along with us. So let's go check it out. So Discovery Cove in Orlando is located right across the street from SeaWorld and is actually under the same ownership as SeaWorld and Aquatica. And pulling it into Discovery Cove is not like any other theme park in Orlando. Very much like a resort. So just looks like a beautiful tropical oasis pulling in, nice lobby area for the check-in purposes, and we are doing the dolphin swim this adventure. So for us, the time for the dolphin swim was assigned at check-in. Mm-hmm. We got lucky and were able to get an 8:30,
which was the first time of the day.
The park opened at 7:30. The check-in started at 7. We got there about 7:15 or so. Mm-hmm. So very glad that we got the 8:30 dolphin swim, because normally the water's open at 9 for everybody else. So we kind of
got in a little early.
Got to maximize our time in the water. So great little start to the day. So at check-in, you are given a little badge, just kind of to keep track of your food throughout the day. It says on the badge that you are 21 or older for the alcohol purposes. You can put the pictures on there.
We did not have the alcohol package.
Yes.
But one thing to keep in mind with Discovery Cove is that your food and some alcoholic beverages are included with admission to the park.
Yeah.
To the cove.
Yes. It is more of an all-inclusive experience.
Right. And that's how they market it.
Yes.
But on top of our all-inclusive experience, we did have the dolphin swim.
Yes.
So that's extra.
Yes. But after check-in, you go into this little overlook area where you're overlooking the Oasis. Some nice views there, and then right at 7:30 is when they kind of open the gates, where they just the employees there, just kind of walk you into the park itself. Which the walk there is very nice, very lush. There's some waterfalls along the walk and some macaws. Mm-hmm. So very tropical. You definitely don't feel like you're in Orlando at all. But then, first up was breakfast. Mm-hmm. So breakfast was kind of right at the start, and breakfast went until 10:30. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to get breakfast in before we met the dolphins.
Yes.
So breakfast here was good. Breakfast and lunch, like you said, are included. So breakfast was a buffet. There was French toast sticks and eggs and bacon, sausage, oatmeal, fruit, parfaits.
Nothing to write home about,
yeah.
But enough to definitely feed you.
Yes, indeed. So
that's pretty much my thoughts on all the food here. But, we can talk about that later.
Right. Nothing exceptional, but definitely not bad by any means. So that was our breakfast, and then we went over to get a locker. The locker areas, you just kind of walk up to any open locker and grab it. The lockers are included with the price of admission. Mm-hmm. There's also the wetsuits right across from it as well.
Which are required.
Yes. You have to wear either a wetsuit or a wetsuit vest. So we decided to start with the wetsuits, then we changed into a vest later in the day. This is also the location where you can get your mask and snorkel for the snorkeling. And the snorkel itself ends up being a souvenir because they don't want to reuse the same snorkel after it's been in somebody's mouth all day. So, nice little fun souvenir that you get to go home with a snorkel. But yeah, so we got our locker, we got our wetsuit, the bathrooms right there too, and the bathrooms were very, very nice. Mm-hmm. There were showers in there were plenty of towels.
With shampoo and body wash and stuff too in the showers. It wasn't just a typical hose down after your swim in the pool shower.
Right.
It was a place where you could clean up. And the women's restroom also had hair dryers and stuff too. So if you need that, it is there.
And one thing that was really nice in the bathrooms was they had a roll of kind of bags to put your wet swimsuits in at the end of the day. So that was very nice to have that. But yeah, so we got all ready, and we're ready for our dolphin adventure. There are 3 separate dolphin lagoons, and you meet in the cabana that coordinated with the lagoon. So there's the Sand Dollar, the Seahorse, and the Starfish lagoons. We were in the Sand Dollar lagoon. So I met in the Sand Dollar Cabana at our time of 8:30, and watched a little like promo video and met with the trainers and whatnot, and then we got to meet our dolphin, whose name was Thelma.
Thelma. We had some young people in our group who were very confused about the name Thelma.
Yes.
And the trainers were like Thelma and Louise? Oh, okay. But yeah, she was a grandma.
Yes.
A grandma who actually, her daughter and granddaughter were in the same lagoon doing the dolphin encounter with 2 other groups at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was a fun experience. They basically said, you can ask us any questions you want. So of course I start not bombarding, but asking lots of questions, including like if they were born there and everything. And because we had 3 generations of one dolphin family in our lagoon, I asked if only girl dolphins got to do the dolphin encounter, and they were like, what? And I said, because there are only girls in this lagoon. And they were like, oh no, any dolphin can do it. And I was like, oh okay. And I said, so we just got lucky to have the 3 generations. Oh yeah. So that was cool, and it was interesting to see the different sizes.
Yes.
Because Thelma's granddaughter was significantly smaller than Thelma, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But how old was Thelma?
I think she was like 30-ish, 30-something.
Yeah. So pretty young for a grandma.
Yes.
But still, a grandma nonetheless.
Yes. And there were 4 groups in the lagoon at the time, is that right? Or more than 4? 4 or 5 groups in the lagoon. I think it was 4.
We had 5 in our group total.
Yes,
it was
five
us,
people in
another
the
couple,
group.
and a single person.
Yeah. So very, very much like a one-on-one experience, because it was 5 people, 1
And
dolphin, and 2
2
trainers. So a lot of opportunity to ask questions at all times. One thing to note about the water is that this was salt water, and it was cold. So
The ground was also relatively slimy.
yes.
So as far as like walking into the area, it was a bit hairy at times. We did fine, but that's just something to keep in mind.
Yes.
If you have somebody with mobility issues, I don't know that this would be...
The best thing for them.
I don't know that this is the most accessible experience, but Discovery Cove might have accommodations and some sort of accessible dolphin experience that you or your family could do.
Yeah. But they aren't able to chlorinate the water because of the salt water, so it's just algae that makes it so slimy. But because of the salt water and because of the dolphins, they have to maintain it at a specific temperature. So I think it's like 75 degrees they have to keep it at. So when it's hot outside, it's very cold. So that was a nice little wake-up call for the morning. I think the full-on wetsuits did help with
We didn't have like full wetsuits. They were the like the shorty
shorts and short sleeves.
Yeah. But enough to keep me from complaining.
Yeah.
Too much.
But one of the downsides was that we could not take our camera in the dolphins.
Yes.
So I have clips, and I've been playing clips as we've been talking of me recording other dolphin adventures, but we are not included in those because couldn't bring the camera in.
But of course, they have a photographer who's willing to take your photos that you can buy for a small fee.
Yes, and not quite so small fee.
Yeah.
Basically, I think it was
like $40 for one photo.
Or like 200 for unlimited for the whole day, which is a bit much.
Where would you take pictures other than the dolphin experience?
In non-COVID times, they've had the aviary had pictures, but there were no photographers in the aviary.
Right. So right now, I don't know that I would recommend the photo package.
No.
Unless you had a huge family doing a ton of pictures and everybody did the dolphin experience or other things like that around the Discovery Cove property.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a cute time. I loved Thelma.
Yeah.
She was very sweet. She was pretty spunky. We were supposed to jump to get her to come out of the water, and she didn't see us jump with her grandma eyes. But then she just kept popping out of the water like, you gonna do it? Hello? Which was very fun. So then we had to redo it. And then she jumped out of the water and was flawless. But that was our experience with Thelma.
Yeah. And then after the dolphins, we ended up changing into the wetsuit vests and explored the rest of the park. So first we started with the Serenity Bay and Wind-Away River. So this is where it's more of the kind of beach-esque feel / not so lazy river.
I'm still salty about that lazy river.
Yeah. So this part of the park is the freshwater. So chlorinated, freshwater, not saltwater, and it's warm. But the river is a little bit intense. So it changes from like, all right, I think it ranges from like 2 feet to 8 feet.
Yeah,
randomly.
And sometimes it'll just not give you any warning, and all of a sudden it'll be, boom, 8 feet. All of a sudden.
Yes.
And they do make sure that everyone has a flotation noodle thing. But still, and then all of a sudden it'll just pop back up from 8 feet to 3 feet. And at one point I had turned around because you were behind me, and then I turned around and all of a sudden we went from an 8 feet to 2 or 3 feet, and I hit the top of my foot on the ground of the thing, or with the slope. My foot went, and ended up scraping my foot. So that wasn't a party. That wasn't on our first go-round in the lazy river, because we did the lazy river a few times because it was different, at least. But yes, I'm still salty about my injured foot from the crazy lazy river that just, you can't be lazy on that lazy river.
No.
Number one.
You have to pay attention at all times.
You have to pay attention. And two, there's random, I know it's not random. There's big waterfalls because the aviary is connected to the lazy river.
Yes.
So to keep the birds from leaving out the lazy river, they keep a waterfall going. So you have to get drenched under an intense waterfall and go under this bridge with the waterfall, and then all of a sudden you're in the aviary and you're soaked.
And that water was freezing.
Yes. So it was just, and then you go through the aviary, and then all of a sudden, again, you're drenched. Which, of course, it's also 8 feet.
Right.
In the spots with the waterfall, which is another, because I, of course, am far from 8 feet tall. So, But there was also a weird rock stacking thing going on. If you were up on the Discovery Cove knowledge, this was my first visit. Why are people stacking rocks all over the lazy river? I understand it might be meditative and relaxing. Maybe that's how they're trying to make the lazy river more lazy, or at least more meditative.
Yeah.
To stack rocks, but it was different heights, people stacking rocks, getting drenched by waterfalls.
And there were some nice waterfalls too to pass by, and a random canyon under the water that
I don't know,
didn't really fit in, but
Discovery Cove.
Yeah.
Where your lazy rivers are not overly lazy.
But yeah, that was our Wind-Away River experience. Serenity Cove or Serenity Bay was just kind of like a beach area. Nothing
a little swim area.
Nothing too fancy.
Not really deep enough for adults to swim
No.
much, but kids would have a good time there.
Yeah. And then right next to the Serenity Bay / Wind-Away River was the Oasis, the freshwater Oasis. And this is where the otters were. Unfortunately, they were not very active.
They were sleeping.
This day. Checked back a couple times and they
were still sleeping.
So, missed out on the otters, but there's also a marmoset island, which...
We saw them being fed.
Yes.
So that was cute.
Much smaller than I expected them to be.
Yes, more like a squirrel size.
Yeah. But one of my favorite parts about this area of the park was the little, kind of lounge-esque portion of it. So, right next to one of the snack bar / real bar, there's a little area of the...
in-water seating area where you can take drinks, basically.
Yeah, about a foot deep, plenty of chairs in the area, and filled with the adults. The adults were all just hanging out here, drinking their cocktails or whatever, which that part was nice. One thing to note was the day that we went here was actually the next day after the big mask change that Disney and Universal had. You can wear, or masks outdoors were optional. So very early in the optional mask outdoor phases. So
we also, though, you said it was full of adults, but we didn't have a problem at Discovery Cove staying away from people.
No. So Discovery Cove lets in 1,300 guests max in a day, and that's easy to keep away from people.
We were also offered, and it was optional, waterproof masks for our dolphin experience.
Yes.
So that's something to keep in mind too. If you're uncomfortable being in proximity to other people, that is an option. And when they take your picture, they will let you pull it below your chin for pictures.
So that will do it for part 1. Be sure to tune in next week for part 2, which will include our snorkeling, trip to the aviary, lunch, and then our thoughts of the whole experience overall. And let us know in the comments below if you have been to Discovery Cove and what your thoughts were. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you real soon.